Hey everyone, my guest today is Eric Robinson, who recently retired from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Eric spent 24 years as a special agent, working a range of crimes including white collar, counterterrorism, crimes against children, gangs, drugs, and public corruption. He served as a SWAT operator, a firearms instructor, and a tactics instructor. Eric will soon release his first book, a collection of the humorous, surprising, and intriguing moments from his career. The memoir combines his years in law enforcement with his career prior to the Bureau. Eric joined the FBI after 12 years in Christian ministry, including pastoring a Baptist church in Western New York. With a background as a pastor and years of experience in human, recruiting, and developing informants, Eric uses humor to disarm and a quick wit to win people over. Welcome to the show, Eric. I want to thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Would you be able to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you're working on?
Well, a little bit about myself is I am 3 months retired from 24 years in the FBI, where I spent time in Chicago and then the Cleveland, Ohio division, and I investigated drug cartels, gangs in Chicago, public corruption and civil rights, and then organized crime, crimes against children, financial crimes, and then national security and human intelligence. So that was my career in the FBI. I spent 15 of those years as a SWAT operator as an ancillary job, along with being a field agent. And prior to that, I was a Baptist minister.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's all right. So that's that's kind of a big combination of different. Were those all different units within the FBI that you?
Yeah. So, some guys focus on one violation. Very few people do. At some point in your career, you move on either to just get some type of different look at crimes and violations. Sometimes it's because you move, sometimes because there's a vacancy and you get asked to go somewhere. So, what's nice about the FBI, like compared to the DEA, which is a great agency too, but you're working drugs, some form of drugs. In the FBI, cyber crimes, foreign counterintelligence, healthcare fraud, financial investigations, so many different things that you can get into.
Yeah. Nice. So what led you to that type of work?
Well, it's cool. So that's why I wanted to be in the FBI.
Yeah.
But what led me there was I had been in ministry for a number of years. My wife and I, along with a core group of Christians, had planted a new church, and that church was meant to be one that reached out to people who didn't normally go to church. And I emphasized to the folks starting this church, we want this to be a place without judgment, where folks can come, check out what Jesus might be about, and not get any type of side eye. So I gave them a flinch test. Can you welcome people who don't dress in their Sunday church clothes, who have tattoos and piercings, gay couples, interracial couples, somebody who comes in with alcohol in their breath? Are we able to accept them and make them feel comfortable? So we were successful, and people were coming in. However, the people who were coming in were bringing a lot of life issues with them too. And while I wasn't experiencing anything different than other pastors regularly do, I was not able to separate myself from their problems, which led to 2 years of headaches every single day related to stress.
Yeah.
Until I finally said, I need to find a job with less stress. And that's why I joined the FBI.
Was it less stress?
It was.
Okay.
It's different stress.
Yeah.
I didn't have to care about people. I cared. I did things that were useful. I took care of victims. I tried to bring about justice, but it didn't matter in the same way, and it didn't bear on me in the same way that church work did. So I was free to just be the best agent I could be, and I didn't have to worry as much about being, again, this is self-imposed, a perfect pastor who was
Right.
always doing right. So I could just be good. I didn't have to be perfect. I'm better at
Right.
being good than perfect.
Well, and I suppose as a pastor, there was a lot of emotional stuff
Yeah.
tied with what you were doing and how you were helping people that way. Whereas in the FBI, you were able to help, but you don't deal with the counseling, with the, you know,
No. And very, I mean, one of the sad parts is very infrequently do we get to be a part of that end story of finding out what happens to the victims.
mhm,
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But yeah, it was very much we set up the investigation. I go in, I arrest you, I put you in jail. Moving
yeah,
on to next investigation, I didn't have to worry about it that way.
yeah. So, how do you think things are going now with the FBI? I mean, when we scheduled this was prior to another assassination attempt on President
Yeah,
Trump. Do you want to talk about that or no?
that's fine.
Okay.
Um, so I'll say this: the way things are going in the FBI, 99.5% of it, the great majority of it, is unchanged as it has been for 50 years.
Okay.
So almost all the FBI is just the same work all the time.
Yeah.
Good agents and support staff clock in. They try to keep their general area of responsibility safe and
Yeah.
seeking out justice. And whatever goes on crazy in DC, it rarely trickles down.
Right.
So there can be
Yeah.
some influence. There's some people who get upset or have positions, but um, I've been through many presidents, many different attorney generals doing the same work.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so as far as how is the FBI doing, um, I take it outside of those headlines. Those headlines are
Yeah.
they're not the FBI. They're DC.
Right. You know what? I have noticed that as well as the it kind of depends on which news source you're looking at as far as the headlines. When
Yeah.
when I mean the amount of children they've rescued, the amount of child trafficking rings that they've busted, it's amazing. Is that something that does or doesn't get attention or
Well, it's um, numbers are always tricky because I
okay.
was part of a crimes against children task force for a few years, and we were part of we were out looking to uh, rescue runaway teens who were now prostituting themselves. We
Okay.
were looking to um, help victims who had been assaulted by uh, adults. And so I know how the figures go for those types of things. We'd be part of Operation Cross Country, which would be a week-long push by the FBI to focus on, okay, now we're going to do even more stings and such to help rescue. And I think the numbers being pushed out are not representative of what's actually happening. It's
Okay.
it's the usual game of like, well, I'll say this. I used to do this in church. I
Okay.
tell the ushers when we're taking attendance, like when you're counting, count eyes and ears and divide by three. And so
Okay.
it's that type of a thing of
Yeah.
administrations use different definitions so that they can say this is rescuing. So
Right. Right.
the numbers, I'm say this really quick. The numbers can't be that much larger because there's not that much manpower in the FBI put to trying to rescue kids.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, I feel like here in Iowa, I don't see hardly anything that anyone's talking about in the news. I'm pretty protected from uh, everything. And I am thankful for that. But yeah, when you see some of the numbers that are put out, it's like you would think that that would be changing whole communities at some point, which
Yeah, and I think there's a misconception in the public of what sex trafficking and human trafficking is. So
mhm,
by and large, it is um, it, it, it's girls and boys engaging in things that, like prostituting, and then adults coming in and taking advantage and
uh,
kind of multiplying that. So for the most part, my experience was this is a 16-year-old girl who's run away. She's now selling her body so she can have money.
right.
And a 26-year-old man comes along and says, "Hey, let me help you." That's trafficking. That's illegal.
Okay.
That's the opposite of what you or I might do if we run into a 16-year-old girl doing that. We would try to
Right.
help her. This man
Right.
takes advantage. So trafficking is not Liam Neeson's daughter getting dragged from underneath the bed. Very often, most often, it is um, teenagers doing these things wittingly, knowingly. Now they're
Uh-huh.
too young to make decisions like this, but are they're likely manipulated and coerced, but they're not kidnapped and drugged. That's
Okay.
going to be very rare.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then okay, so then yeah, that probably gets the title of child trafficking.
Yep. And
Okay.
you don't even have to, like, you could be a 16-year-old girl prostituting in this Red Roof Inn room, and a guy comes along and you never leave the room
Yeah.
and you just stay there and keep going. That's trafficking. You don't have to be taken anywhere else.
Right.
It's you being used for someone else's purposes sexually and being underage. It can happen with adults too, and that necessitates force, fraud, or coercion.
Yeah. Okay. So while you were kind of talking about that, I was thinking about Amanda Berry. Do you was that in Ohio?
I, the name's not familiar to me,
Um
but I'm old.
well, I so she was held captive with two other girls for like
Yeah,
10 years.
no, that was in Cleveland.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so our evidence response team was part of that, of going after the fact to spend time. Boy, now I'm trying to remember the fella's name.
Is it um
It was a Hispanic name, and now
yeah,
I
was
feel
it like
bad.
Angel or Ariel or
Yes, Ariel.
was it Ariel Castro?
Thank you. Yep, there we go.
Okay. Well, and I feel bad that I don't remember the other two girls' names offhand. They might come to me later, but I just remember her 911 call and her escaping the house. I'm Amanda Berry. I'm alive, and
Yeah.
someone was like, "You're dead." She's like, "No, clearly not." But yeah. So you know people that worked on that?
Yes. So I was on SWAT for a number of years,
Mhm.
and that's referred to as an ancillary position. So I did all my time as an investigator, but then also was called out for operations, and I did special training.
Uh-huh.
And another one of those positions is ERT, or the evidence response team. And I've had some good friends on that team, and they don't do anything special that we don't do
Right.
typically, just like SWAT didn't do much different than what agents do. It's just that they're better trained. They have a few extra skills. They have a little bit extra equipment, and that was similar with SWAT, where
Mhm.
agents go in and execute arrest warrants and search warrants, but SWAT's trained better. We have a few extra tools and some extra skills. So if it reaches this level, SWAT's called. If it's a sensitive case like the Ariel Castro case,
Uh-huh.
ERT is going to be called.
Okay. And what does ERT stand for?
Evidence response team.
Okay, I feel like you said that already, but just want to make sure. So, were there any cases that I'm assuming there were several dangerous cases that you were
Yep.
on?
Yeah. I mean, on SWAT, it didn't feel like it, but it, we were called out because there were certain levels on the matrix that said this is too dangerous. Let's bring in the specialists.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, when usually that's guys who are more violent than others, then yeah,
Okay.
those are dangerous situations. Now we're trained well. We take every precaution to emphasize safety to the civilians and to our force. But
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't mean that somebody decides they're not going to go be taken away alive.
Right. Right. So, yeah, did you face, like, threats or
Yeah, I had one kid that was referred to me from NCIC, NCIC, NCIS. NCIC is what we call for criminal histories. From
Okay.
NCIS, the Naval Criminal Investigations, and they said,
Okay.
"Hey, we just released this kid. Um, he's a danger to himself and others." And so
Okay.
I worked up a quick case on him and started just watching to see what was going on. Then I see that he had purchased some guns. I go through, I get NCIS's materials. I see that according to his medical history, he had been institutionalized against his will on a few occasions, which meant he was disqualified from handling firearms.
Okay.
So, like, just to get this kid off the street because he was such a threat.
Yeah.
We got him charged and put away. And yet after that, after he spent a year in prison, he then came back and I talked with his counselor at the halfway house,
Uh-huh.
and he said, I have worked with death row inmates for 20 years. None of them have scared me as much as this kid.
Oh, wow.
And then the kid started reaching out to me, not giving threats because he's very intelligent,
Uh-huh.
but he didn't threaten me, but he let you know. Um,
Right.
he would call our
Yeah.
front desk, and they'd call me and say, "Hey, we've got this guy on the phone." I go, "Yeah, tell him I'm not available." And
Yeah.
then the receptionist would call back and says, "Oh, he left a message. Would you like to know what the message is?" And I said, "Sure." He says, "He said to tell you you're a bitch." So, I mean, all funny, but he was the reason
Right.
why every time I parked my vehicle for the last years of my career, I would step out and I would first look around the parking garage to make sure he wasn't there to ambush me.
Right. Yeah. Right, yeah, it can be funny sometimes, but yeah, it sounds like he needed to be taken seriously. It's
Yeah, and he's still out there, and
oh, shit.
like over the years after he got out, there would not be 2 months in a row that would pass without some law enforcement agency contacting me about him because he was threatening somebody, or like they wanted to know what his story was because they had a run in.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, that's, it do you think that there needs to be better systems in place for stuff like that as far as mental health outreach, and would that have
Yeah,
helped?
yeah. I mean, what's hard is this. Like for him, we got to a place where we worked with the local sheriff, and we came to the sheriff to say, hey, we have some ideas. Friggin' sheriff tells us all he's been trying to do, and I go, oh, well, that's a lot. You know,
Yeah.
the kid had constantly been bringing threats to the sheriff's office as well, and we made every attempt to de-escalate, to help him through, to kind of hit him in one of those cool moments,
Yeah.
because again, he was a really smart kid, and yet he would get set off, and you're just waiting
Okay.
for, when's that set off? Oh, okay, is he cool now? All right, let's try talking. And
Yeah.
nothing worked. And part of the problem was he was just somebody who shouldn't have guns. And you know the Navy failed to make sure, like, the Navy failed to give him a dishonorable discharge or have something to notify uh, Nix, or notify that he should not have firearms. And
Okay.
NCIS just kind of followed up to say, hey, maybe you can do something about it. So
Yeah.
there's so many people that fall through the cracks like that, and it's tough.
Yeah. We had, here in Iowa, a I don't know. I think he was maybe in his 20s. This was I don't know, a couple decades ago now, but um he was in the hospital for like mental health observation and was released when he shouldn't have been, and then promptly went and shot and killed a football coach in front of a bunch of football players. And you know, it's it's just sad that things slip through the cracks. And I believe he wasn't supposed to have guns either, but they figure out how to get them.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, I had another case where I got the report of a guy harassing people in the local mall, and he was claiming to be a Nazi. And so, we start looking into him. I get a kind of a half an investigation going, and I end
Yeah.
up contacting the parents because it seems like he might actually have mental health problems. Parents were
Yeah.
great. They said, "Yep, we're on this. We know what this is about. We're sorry." And I'm just going through to say, are there guns? Yes. They are completely locked up. He has no way to get them. And they told me the story of how one time he had a mental break. It's before they had locked up the guns. He got dad's gun and he was walking around the farm property with the gun,
Uh-huh.
and they called the sheriff to help. And I said, "Oh my gosh, why would you do that?" Because the police, like, what can they do but shoot you?
Right.
And
Right.
and so I mean, I talked to the father about that, and I was saying, "Hey man, as a father, I'd rather get killed by my own kid than set up for him to get killed by cops." And
Yeah.
and he said, "Yeah, I made such a mistake."
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose you don't think about it at the time that calling the sheriff's just gonna escalate the situation.
Yeah, they don't
And
have tools.
right.
I mean, you might get someone who's good. You might get the guy who's also their negotiator, and he's smart enough. But yeah, man, if he fails, there's only one other option left.
Yeah. Wow. Um, so you mentioned that other guy was highly intelligent. Do you find that the ones that seem to be more dangerous are more intelligent, or is it just kind of a mix?
Yeah, it's a mix. I mean, if you're smarter, you're more dangerous because usually the criminals are fairly dumb. I'm not necessarily dumb, but
Mhm.
they're ruled by their emotions or their
Yeah.
avarice. What they want, and so if you have so this kid was ruled by his mental lapses and his
Yeah.
anger, and so that was his downfall. And then everything else about him was very intelligent. Um, and then I mean, I've had other guys. I had a long-term financial investigation on a guy who was definitely smart,
Yeah.
but he was very literally a textbook sociopath. And
Okay.
so and
Yeah.
and if you're a sociopath, that's like a superpower
Right. Right.
because I like even if you like, I assume you've got a friend who's like, he doesn't care what people think about him, or but he's
Right.
not a sociopath. If you legitimately do not care about anyone else's emotions, like that
Yeah.
unleashes so much power because
Right.
you and I act to different degrees, maybe you more than me, but you and I react according to societal standards,
Right.
and we feel bad if we break those. So
Yeah.
imagine how you would be unleashed if it didn't matter. You could do
Right.
whatever you wanted.
Right. I think about that sometimes because usually they're pretty successful, correct?
He
And
was very successful.
sometimes I'm like, "Can I just be a little bit of a sociopath?"
Yeah,
Obviously, I don't really mean that.
I
But
know. It's so much better to be nice to people. It's so much
yeah.
better and fulfilling. This was a guy that I eventually arrested. He had a house on the first tee of the golf course in the country club where he lived, biggest house. He had he had a trophy wife that was like the Heisman of trophy wives. So everything was
Yeah.
perfect. And then there came to be a downfall. And then eventually, when I arrested him, he was sleeping on the couch of his realtor's house, and
Oh,
his realtor lived in the same country club community. And so when I arrested him, I'm walking him out in handcuffs, and I'm taking him to a police vehicle, and there's a car stopped behind the police vehicle.
Mhm.
And, I waved the guy on. I said, "Hey, it's a police activity. You can go around." And he goes, "Hey, is that so and so?" And I said, "Yes, it is." He's like, "Can I take a picture of him in handcuffs?" And I said, "Yeah."
Oh my gosh.
Everybody hated him. You know,
Yeah.
he's very successful, but everybody hated him because they knew he was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I mix sociopaths up with narcissists. So would a sociopath even be upset that he was pictured in handcuffs?
He might be in the sense that it's beneath him, like he's being demeaned.
Uh-huh.
And I remember talking to one of his partners, and, like we were asking about, like, hey, does he have a gun? Because,
Right.
not just fear to us, but like if he knows that the arrest is coming, will he kill himself? And the guy goes, "Oh, he would never kill himself. He's too important to the world."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I could see a narcissist being very upset if they were pictured in handcuffs.
Yeah. I mean, it was demeaning. Like this guy, it was very interesting. So he was married to a beautiful woman,
Uh-huh.
and when we executed a search warrant, he was out of the country, and I was worried. Like, they'd been married for like 25 years, and I was worried that she was going to be, MFing us and yelling.
Yeah.
She goes, "Sit down. Would you like some coffee?"
Oh,
And she
okay.
she she was at the place where she's like, "Thank you for being here. You are the reason I will now decide to divorce him. I've
Wow.
hated what he's doing, and now you're the reason. Thank you so much." So
Yeah.
he told everybody that I was having sex with her,
Oh
and
my
then he
gosh.
and then he moved on to a new wife that he met and married very quickly. And so naturally, he was telling everybody that now I was having sex with her too. And
Oh,
it
jeez.
was an odd fascination that he would pass that on. And then she divorced him after like 2 months,
Wow.
and he moved on to dating another gal, and he told everybody I was banging her too. It was
That's
very
weird.
weird for him to. I don't know if that elevated him somehow or what, but
Yeah.
I was having a lot of sex with a lot of women, but not enjoying any of it.
Oh, yeah, that would be so strange to, I guess, have people make up stuff about you like that.
Yeah, which, I mean, for me, I wasn't angry about that because
Right.
it doesn't matter. And also, like, anybody who knew me is like, I don't think that's Eric. He goes to bed early, isn't much
Yeah.
of a playboy.
Yeah. That's funny. So, what are some of the if you're able to talk about them, like what are some of the highest profile cases? Or in generics, I guess you could talk about.
Well, no, anything that I can talk about has already been adjudicated and been in the
Okay.
news. But um, one of the highest profile cases that, well, I'll tell you this. So I worked 15 years on different criminal violations, and then
Uh,
got placed on national security or counterterrorism squad.
okay.
So I get on that squad, and great people. Loved that group of people and worked very well together. So we had a task force officer
Mhm.
who was from the Toledo Police Department, but he was just like any agent on the squad and better than most. And he had a case going on these two kids who were believed to be preparing for a mass shooting.
Okay.
So with that, we executed what is called a surreptitious search warrant. So if I conduct a search warrant, I have to notify you that I've carried this out, whether that's your Facebook
Mhm.
or your house. I have to show you, unless I have permission to delay, I have to show you, hey, this is why we could do this. And a
Okay.
surreptitious search warrant is basically saying I can break into your house, and I can take or photograph whatever I want, download your computer, and I don't have to tell you until much later. So it's like this. If you think about like the crazy FBI and the
Yeah.
wild stuff we do, that's the kind of wild stuff where specialists come in and work for a long time with the case agent to say, here's how we're going to break in and here's what we're going to do. And it's very high speed. So that
Yeah.
was cool. So we get ready to get an arrest warrant on them off of stuff we got out of their house.
Okay.
We introduced an undercover, and we got the final amounts that we needed where one of the team purchased black powder and some screws to create bombs for what we're going to do.
Okay.
Meanwhile, in the search warrant, guns, ammo galore. So we know that they're ready to carry this out.
Yeah.
So we were running that case on the squad. At the same time, another buddy had a different case where this white, ginger-haired American kid had pledged himself to ISIS,
Oh.
and we had brought in an undercover to him and got him to tell all about what he was going to do to kill Jews. And so then that
Okay.
culminated in a short time of the undercover providing a rifle to the subject so that he could carry this out. Now this is the subject asking for it. We're not trying to promote this.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, if I get a rifle, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So we have a rifle. The firing pin is milled down. I test fired it in my side yard just to make sure because we didn't want something terrible to happen.
Right.
And we provide it. And so we've got these two huge cases of two kids in their early 20s and another kid similar age looking to kill as many people as possible. And we had to take them down back to back. And it was crazy, like the biggest cases this squad's ever seen back to back. And so the one we take down, we get the kids. A roommate had said that the boy, the young man in this, sleeps with a shotgun next to his bed. So boom, SWAT's called because that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And then with the other one, we did like this takedown in a parking lot to grab this guy as he was given the rifle, and we're ready to go and jump out. So just the crazy two of them together where when we took down the gingerhead kid who wanted to kill Jews, we were ready in a van with four of us as the takedown team. My buddy Rich had the flashbang ready. We're going to throw it under the vehicle as a distraction. It would have been crazy. So we're prepared for this, and the driver pulls up, and boom, we throw open the van doors, and one guy gets out. And then at that time, the driver's like, I don't think I'm close enough. So one guy gets out, and he starts pulling ahead. Number two gets out and like just barely catches his footing. I'm number three, and I Fred Flintstone myself, and I stay upright. And then my buddy Rob was number four, and he just,
rolled out. Yeah.
just rolled out. And everybody was safe.
Good. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about my sponsors real quick. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Beatles and Led Zeppelin apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family-owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Looking for a game-changing way to improve your health? Zevo Life is the world's most nutrient-dense whole plant, packed with over 50% plant protein, essential amino acids, fiber, and antioxidants. Harnessing the best nature has to offer, Zevo Life nourishes your body while driving your performance, vitality, and overall well-being. Each serving is a concentrated source of clean, well-balanced nutrition designed to support modern lifestyles, and just 1 teaspoon a day supports your gut, boosts energy, and promotes healthier skin and hair. It's no wonder that it's receiving rave 5-star reviews. Step into a healthier future with a 30% discount and a 30-day risk-free guarantee by visiting zivo.life and using my promo code. To support my show and to receive 30% off your entire order, enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Have you ever taken down someone that seems to be like really badass and then they cry when you get them?
Well, I have made multiple men defecate themselves through my career.
Really?
I'm very
Because they're so
proud of it.
scared?
Yes. So on one occasion, we had a guy who was sextorting young women.
Okay.
So he had taken over one woman's Facebook account, and through that was connecting with some of her friends. He had extorted her and said, "Send me videos, or
Yeah.
I'm going to release what I've got on your computer." And then through that persona, he was then connecting with other women and sextorting them. That meant that the original victim was getting calls from police because people thought it was her.
Okay.
She was getting death threats. And meanwhile, this kid was, moving around to new victims and bragging that no one could catch him,
Yeah.
not even the FBI. And so we did. So it turns out he was an adjunct professor at the local university.
Oh,
Again,
no.
mid-20s, so not like
Right.
bit, but like smart kid, like a chess champion and a professor.
Yeah.
So the specialists from our headquarters, the computer guys came in, they said, "Hey, this guy's very advanced. We assume that he's going to have a kill switch on his laptop. So you have to make sure you separate him from his laptop."
Yeah.
So as we went to hit the apartment building, which was near the campus, small apartment,
Yeah.
police have to make announcement of their presence. And because we wanted to separate the kid from his laptop, I had the battering ram, and I told my buddy who was making the announcement, I said, "You make the announcement on my backswing." So as I'm back here, you're
Yeah.
saying FBI search warrant, and then I'm hitting it. So boom, we hit it. We got in there, and he was laying on his face on his bed with his left arm hanging down, and to his left was his open laptop. And
Oh,
so
no.
I came up to him and I screwed my handgun to his forehead
Yeah.
and I said, "If you move, I'll kill you."
Yeah.
Which you can't do that. I was
Right.
bluffing.
Yeah.
You can't kill somebody for moving. And that had the effect of the first words that he heard on that morning, of feeling a gun against his temple and hearing,
Yeah.
"If you move, I'll kill you." That had the effect of loosening his bowels. And so he evacuated himself. And then my friend who had to interview him in the police car afterwards was very angry at me
Yeah.
as the guy was sitting on some chocolate pancakes, while they're in this enclosed space.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you don't think about that afterwards when you get
I
them in
didn't
the
care. It wasn't my
right.
problem.
Yes. Yes. Like
I did my job and I did it A
yeah.
plus plus.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There was in the town I work in, or the city I work in, like I don't know if it was a meth head or what, like stole a gas tanker, like
Wow.
I don't know what they're called. You know, the semis that carry the big
Yeah.
gas things to drop them off at the gas station. Well, he took one from a gas station and was under the influence of something and crashed it into somebody's house while the guy was taking a nap. And I just think, and he was naked, of course. The driver
Yeah.
was not the guy taking a nap. The driver was
Oh.
naked for some reason or
Oh.
whatever. And so like
Naturally.
the news pictures have his like butt in the in the background. But the guy who was taking a nap, I always think like, I think I would have had a heart attack, but now I wonder if he pooped himself.
Uh,
Like,
I mean,
I
I'd
mean, I
sooner,
wouldn't blame him.
yeah, right. I'd sooner claim that I had a heart attack than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that working in the FBI, and 95% of my arrests have been early morning.
Uh-huh.
So we catch people as they're sleeping. It's like I have seen so much naked men in my years.
Yeah.
Many, many naked men. And then one occasion we had a chance, we were hitting a hotel room, and drug dealer guy in a gang, that we hit the door, and he was with his stripper girlfriend, and
Uh-huh.
she was still wearing her work clothes,
Okay.
which was
Yeah.
nothing.
Right.
So that was like the one time, like all these naked men. That guy was a first floor window, but we heard this crash, and he like went through the window. And I remember
Oh.
afterwards, he got caught soon after. But I was looking to see like what chair did he throw through the window, because those are some serious windows in a
Yeah.
hotel. And he just went Kool-Aid right through the window.
Oh, wow.
Hardly hurt himself at all.
Really?
I don't know how it's
That's
possible.
I didn't yeah, oh my goodness. Determination, I guess.
Yes, when you're going to have your liberties removed from you, it gives you a lot of energy and determination. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. Jeez. All right, so did you deal with any like you mentioned, the ginger with ISIS. Did did you deal with any other, like, terroristic threats or things like that?
Yeah. So came into doing, when I came in the bureau, it was 2002. So 9/11 investigation was like petered out. We pretty much gotten to where we needed to be. And from there, investigations, like it was kind of a regrouping of how the FBI did counterterrorism. So
Mhm.
I worked criminal cases for a long time, but during that time, so much of it was terrorist financing, where you're trying to determine who in the United States is helping, sending funds overseas.
Okay.
And then by the time I got into working national security in the last 7 years of my career, now we are getting back into trying to see trying to carry out harm.
Okay.
The financing cases were so tough because, once the money goes overseas, it's near impossible to map out where it's going or prove that here in the U.S. But then we also worked into, now domestic terrorism was on the rise, where we're looking at, guys who are angry about certain classes or groups of people, and now they're making threats. And how do we, like, those threats were like, you give me 2 minutes, I'm going to find them online. But it's a matter of which ones are people yapping and which ones are going to be somebody who might act. and
Yeah.
and that was a lot of the time that I spent working national security.
Okay. What's the craziest thing you ever saw?
So I have people ask me that, and you can't ask me that because the answer probably would not play on your podcast.
Oh. Oh, no.
It's a little disgusting.
Oh, like sad, disgusting,
No,
worse than someone shitting themselves?
no, it's right in line with that. But anyway,
Oh.
like I'll say this: I've sat on multiple phone taps,
Uh-huh.
like many, and I've listened to more than enough jail calls. You
Yeah.
get peeks into people's lives when you enter their homes with a search warrant and they're not expecting. You take
Yeah.
their phones and computers, and you get to see all the things they've been doing. And
Yeah.
it's it's enlightening just to see what people are into, and which is in many ways fine. Like, it might be disgusting to me, but it's not illegal, so okay.
Right.
There's paraphilias, fetishes that people get into, and as long as no one's being harmed, but a lot of those things are crazy.
Yeah.
And and we came out of one house, I remember, on a child porn case where we just took their laundry basket and filled the sex toys in the laundry basket.
Oh gosh.
And I look and I think, I don't know, how many do you need? Like, for
Yeah.
variety's sake, how many how many do you need?
Yeah.
Like a few. And beyond that, like, I don't know why you need that many. They're just gonna, you're just gonna
Yeah.
trip over them.
Right. Right.
But you find out what people are willing to do.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I've seen more than my share of homemade sex dolls. I've seen a
Oh.
few realistic sex dolls. One
Oh.
that we thought was a barricaded subject, who wouldn't come out of the bathroom, but it wasn't. It was a sex doll.
Wow.
Um, a lot of things like that.
Yeah. So what is it like working with some of these people after that they're apprehended?
So my position has always been that when I go in, I've probably broken in your door.
Mhm.
I've got at least a dozen people with me with guns. I put you in handcuffs and I told you that I'm going to take you away. So at that point, I don't need to prove that I'm in charge.
Right.
It should be obvious. And so
Yeah.
because of that, I don't yell. I don't have to use profanity. I don't have to scream, and I don't have to tell you how you're disgusting. And
Yeah.
so I can bring it down to, as much as this seems silly, more of a normal conversation. So you are beholding to me. I have all the authority and power. And also, I would arrest some gang members in Chicago who might have had more experience than I did. But for
Yeah.
the most part, this is probably one of your few interactions with law enforcement. This is the lowest point of your life. I, however, have done this 1,000 times and I know what's going to go on. And so I am reaching to you to say, let me help you through this.
Right.
Um, I know you're confused. I know you're probably upset and scared. I'm going to explain to you how things are going to go well. And reaching out like that so often opened up the criminals. And,
Yeah.
sometimes even the hardened ones too, where now they were engaging with me. We're going to begin a conversation and we'll just see where it goes. And I treated them kindly.
Yeah.
Uh, the FBI is well known for being very professional. Like, I mean, so many criminals have, like, it's ridiculous. They'll thank us
Right.
because they've maybe had some interaction with a cop who's just kind of tired of this, and
Right.
they get treated poorly. But here comes the FBI, and we're just like, what do you need, man? Take care of your kid. Like, hey, can I kiss my wife goodbye? Yeah, let me call her over. You stay here. Like, just doing nice things where,
Yeah.
like, I get it, man. This sucks for you. So yeah, I'm gonna let your wife come over.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you might as well let the rest of the time be an easy I mean, pleasant might not be the best word, but
As you
why make it
can.
harder?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And if you want to be an asshole, I can do that. That's easy. Like, I can play bad cop so simple, and it feels nice. But usually, like, we come in, and I will start the FBI will start with, we're going to do this professionally. And if
Uh-huh.
you respond well, then, like, okay, we're just going to keep going like this. You respond poorly, I'm gonna push back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll up the magazine. Mm-mm. And
Yeah.
if you come back down, now we're going to keep it even again. If you want to have that really bad attitude, like, I can eat some of it because
Mhm.
I get it. Like, this is
Right.
bad. This is bad.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you're trying to save face. Okay. I'll eat a little bit of it, but otherwise, like, I had, like, that kid I arrested that got the gun charges on. His dad thanked me for executing a search warrant at his house and for arresting his son because he was afraid of him. He was
Yeah.
afraid that his son was going to kill people.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, maybe the person that you're taking in isn't happy with you, but yeah, I suppose you probably had a lot of people thanking you for making the community, their home, or whatever safer.
Yeah, we were doing a protective duty for the Republican National Convention in Cleveland
Mhm.
in I guess it would have been 16 or whatever it
Okay.
was. Yeah.
Or
And
15 or
so
yeah.
we're rolling around, looking all hot in our SWAT gear and tough. And I remember like we'd walk in, I walked into a Starbucks to get coffee and, I get to the line and the barista said, somebody already paid for you. I'm like, that's nice.
Oh,
I walk out and people on the patio start clapping. I'm like, that's a,
really?
that's a little much. But
Yeah.
but most people do. Most people go, yeah, hey, I'm glad for that. I don't know how to respond when people say thank you for your service because even
Yeah.
your welcome sounds arrogant. But
Yeah.
like, how do you thank me for getting to do the greatest job in the United States? It was awesome. So you're
Yeah.
saying I already got paid to do the coolest stuff that a person could do.
Right. Yeah, getting paid to take down criminals. Like
Yeah,
that's yeah.
I got money to break doors. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose if you have some pent up aggression, it's nice if you have have a day where you can
Which
take
I
it out
do.
on a door.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what is your job like after the raid or after the apprehension?
Oh, well, in the immediate term, like, say, hey, we got to take him for his initial appearance, got lock up. There's so much admin stuff.
Mhm.
But then we're preparing for eventual trial. So trial won't come for quite some time usually. And I've had guys like, I've had judges allow for so many new attorneys. They'll
Mhm.
allow for motions that kick things years down the road, and it seems such an injustice. But then eventually now you're getting together with the prosecutor, with the assistant United States attorney assigned to the case, and now you're going through evidence. You're making
Yeah.
sure everything's in line. The prosecutor's working with you to say, here's how I'm going to attack. This is what we're going to prove. As an investigator, I come in and saying, hey man, he did this. And the prosecutor goes, yeah, the jury's going to learn this. And we're just going to focus on these 2, 3 points, whatever. Like,
Okay.
I get it. He told people you're banging his wife. We're not going to bring that in. We're going to
That's
stick to these
nice.
simple things. And so, now they narrow it down and you get the witness list and you start contacting witnesses and bringing them in. And,
Mhm.
you know, we might have one of our forensic accountants, set up a chart to say, here's how we could see money moving. We
Yeah.
might have an analyst set up, a connections chart to see how the conspiracy worked, that all these people were tied. So,
Yeah.
then we just get a little fancy from there.
Okay. Have you ever checked on somebody after it was all said and done?
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
time. I'm trying to think if there's many people I've put away. Well, there are some. Most of the people I've put in prison are probably out by now.
Okay.
But there's a few guys that I put away that one got out like in a year for because of COVID in the prisons,
Okay.
and it
Okay.
just I can't do anything about it. I look at it
Right.
and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some people like there's also guys too where you're like there's two classes of criminals. There's guys who break the rules and so they're going to go to prison, and there's guys who break the rules and they're going to go to prison and they're horrible people.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of guys here where you're like, I mean, I have said, and I've seen other colleagues say, hey, you're going to get out in 4 years. Look me up. You know,
Yeah.
the guy's a nice guy, and he's like, yep, I did this, and he might be a good informant later.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Keep in touch to gather informants. Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be hard if it was someone who hadn't been in a lot of trouble and they seemed decent. They just kinda got into something they shouldn't have been doing. Like, I would wanna be like, "Are you doing okay now?"
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's most of the people. What I like about the FBI is the agents will also not just try to follow, not I don't want to say try, not just follow the law strictly, but also have a bit of a moral code too,
Yeah.
where, if this is a guy where if you can determine like, man, he just got caught up in it, it might be somebody we don't charge. But they're usually people who just go, yep, I absolutely know that this is wrong, and that's what I'm doing. And I
Yeah.
don't have to have malice towards them. You're just bringing justice, getting drug dealers off the street, trying to help people out. Like the one criminal that I hated the most was a realtor. Like he was just a guy, but
Really.
he stole money from people, and
Yeah.
he stole money from an older disabled woman and
Oh.
lied to her. He was very openly gay. I mean, he stole money from her to open a gay bar, so he was very openly
Okay.
gay, but he was
Yeah.
convincing this woman that they might get married someday, and she'd never been with a man, and so just so
Wow.
cruel, so cruel.
Yeah.
And that guy went to trial against me twice. And, twice we beat him. And I was so glad for it. But he didn't get
Yeah.
enough time. I mean, he's one of the worst people I've met.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have to be frustrating as well, is, the sentencing, if the sentencing doesn't seem like long enough for the crime or maybe too long for the crime, depending.
Yeah, we've had some judges argue. We had one judge who would often argue against the United States Attorney's Office bringing mandatory minimum charges against people distributing or receiving child pornography, because he had this thing where it said, if they're just doing this in the basement of their house, who are they hurting? And at the same time, it was like 5 years. So like, I feel like, that if you're going to be receiving, distributing child porn, 5-year mandatory minimum's not that harsh.
Right.
And yet there are others where, you'd look at and think, oh my gosh, this guy deserves so much more. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose some of those, you'd wanna keep tabs on too if they really hate you, especially if you're taking all their women.
yeah, so that guy actually, like, because he kept getting kicked out by his ladies after his first wife dumped him,
Yeah.
and he went to live at his sister's place. And his sister's place was right next to my neighborhood.
Oh, no.
And I remember finding this out going, oh man. So my kids were little at the time. And on Halloween, I'm walking them around the neighborhood, and I got a gorilla mask on because,
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's definitely more afraid of me than I am of him, but I don't need to take chances. So,
Right. Yeah.
the kids are like, why Daddy, you've never worn a costume before? I'm like, yeah, I am this time.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be so strange to have him or anybody that you put away move closer, you
Yeah.
know?
So, I went from working in Chicago where two times in my 8 years living there did I run into someone I knew, like
Oh, jeez.
just like bump into them in the city
Yeah.
two times because it's so huge. And one was my
Wow.
tattoo artist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Toledo, Ohio, which is back near home, and
Okay.
it's a small city. It's a good sized
Yeah.
city, but then like you're running into. I remember one time getting introduced to an informant on a case, and I go, "Oh, hey, remember me from junior high school?"
Oh, wow.
Or you know,
Yeah.
I remember going into a Chick-fil-A once and telling my brother, "Hey, we got to leave. That guy's one of my subjects, and he knows me."
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh, that's a little different.
Yeah. One of my relatives used to investigate welfare fraud,
Mm,
and, they wouldn't go to certain places in the city out of which they worked. Like, they lived outside of it and would only grocery shop and stuff out there because if they went to certain places, they'd run into all these people that they busted,
yeah,
and I imagine that's kinda dangerous.
yeah. So my experience, yes, it can. You don't know what someone might decide to do or the grudge they hold.
Yeah.
However, my experience has been if the criminals hold a grudge against somebody, it's usually the prosecutor,
Okay.
which is, I mean, that's just the way it is. And I think it's because for some reason, me and you are the same. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing my job selling drugs. You're doing
Yeah.
your job trying to bust me in drugs. Hey, you're better than me today.
Yeah.
Handshake, slap on the butt off the field. The prosecutor's like, who do you think you are trying to make this case to put me away for 7 years? So they're kind of like the snooty guy, thinking they're better than them. I think that's often the way the criminals look. Like between us, they're like, yeah, man, I get it. You know,
Yeah. I have heard that there's kind of almost like a mutual respect there, like you just
well,
said, like, "Oh, you got."
not me to him.
No. Oh, no. No. But, yeah, they're kind of like, "Okay, well, you got me,
Yeah.
what are you." Yeah. Yeah, and it's your job. Alright, is there anything that you would like the audience to know that we haven't covered yet today?
Okay. Well, here's a teaser for you. So
Okay.
I have written a book which will be published in the fall.
Okay.
It is called Irreverent: From
Okay.
Saving Souls to Chasing Sinners in the FBI. And so if anybody wants to know the story that you said, what's the craziest thing that I've come
Okay.
across, that's in my book, along with
Okay.
other stories of where I've made men poop themselves and such. But
Yes.
but so what I've taken is like the idea of what happened to me growing up in ministry, being a
Mhm.
Baptist pastor, and then just the next week I preached on Easter Sunday 2002. The next Sunday I was in Quantico, Virginia for the FBI Academy. And
Wow.
then the Sunday after that, I preached again because they didn't have a chaplain at the academy, and they asked me if I could fill in. So, uh,
That's funny.
but this is a story of some of the remarkable things that I got to witness during 24 years, but seen from the eyes
Yeah.
of a man who was a Baptist pastor. So, uh,
Yeah.
I never lost the fascination that I had when I first joined the FBI of seeing this as this is an amazing job and we do some really remarkable things. So I get to tell those stories. I think I tell them funny. Hopefully you got that
Yeah.
sense here too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
So that'll be coming out in the fall. And if
Okay.
folks want to kind of follow along and see where that's going, they can follow me on Instagram. I am _Eric_Robinson. And I'm amazed that was still available when I
Yeah.
picked that up like in January. Um, or LinkedIn, Eric Robinson, and you'll see my
Okay.
face, put FBI in or something. And
Okay.
then my website where you can follow the book is preachertobreacher.com.
Okay.
So I was a preacher, and then later I busted down doors.
Yeah.
Preacher to breacher.
I love it. Perfect. I will put those in the show notes so that everyone can find you a little easier, and then I'll look you up as well. That way I can tag you when the episode is out, and I will message you. And, yeah, I wanna thank you for being here, and I'm excited for when your book comes out. I usually read the books that my guests write if
Ah,
unless they sound completely boring, which of course none of my guest books sound boring. Um,
we'll talk
you're
after.
yeah, that would be fun. I'd like to touch base with you again after it's out and after I've read it. So,
Yeah,
yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, yeah, thank you again, and, it was a blast. It's always fun when you can add a little bit of humor to it. So,
absolutely. And you have to.
yeah, yes, yes, with dark stuff like that,
Yes.
definitely. So